Hey everyone, Mike Settele here, founder of Settele Tutoring, and in this video, I'm going to take for the first time one of the PSAT practice tests. So for many people, the PSAT practice tests are their first entry into SAT prep at all because the PSAT is the first time they experience the SAT, and many of you want to prepare for it. If that is you, then let's at least show you how to kind of use this Bluebook app to get into these practice tests. You will see that you have this option for full-length practice. If you have never used that before, you might want to use the test preview feature to just kind of get a sense of where the buttons are and everything like that. But I'm going to go to full-length practice test. I am not going to take an SAT because I've already done all those, but if you are just starting out in prep, you want to take one of the PSATs. Save those SATs for when you're actually taking a real SAT and preparing for it. So we're going to do the PSAT related assessment. And also, if you are taking an SAT and you've used all those practice SATs, these PSATs are, second best, but they're a good way to get some more practice with the pacing and the scoring and everything like that. So we're going to do this, and we go to test here. But basically what this means is that the test for 8th and 9th graders is a little bit easier. It's going to be this one here, PSAT 8-9. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this one, which is meant for the 11th graders and 10th graders. So many students across the United States take a PSAT at school in October of junior year. That would be this PSAT NMSQT. Or some people take one also in the spring of sophomore year. That would be the PSAT 10. But you can see that they're basically the same thing. They're in the same category. So we're going to do that. And I've already taken PSAT 1. This is a long time ago they released this. But this is a brand new test. So I've never seen any of the questions. And if you have never taken this test, don't watch this video yet. Take this test yourself first and then get a score, do it yourself, see how you do. And then if you really want a great review of like the pacing and the strategies, watch me do it in the rest of this video and you will see how I can get through those questions. So we're going to do that and we're going to see what the score is. I'm hoping for a perfect score, but yeah, it's just basically the same as an SAT, so there will be some hard questions. There are some math topics that aren't on the PSAT, but otherwise it's generally the same format. The scoring is a little different, but it is a good representation of what the SAT will be like. So without further ado, let's get started. We're just going to create our test, and then we'll get to the first module. All right, I got my scratch paper here just in case I need it. Remember, you do get scratch paper for the reading section, though many of you don't use that. But let's get to the test. And even though I don't always do this, I am going to start by going to the first grammar question. I recommend doing that in the hard module, so we're going to do that here. It usually starts around question 15. Here is question 16, where we have our first grammar question. I do that for pacing reasons. So my main strategy here is to guess the rule. This seems to be a little bit about the differences in the there, so let's take a look at that. To illustrate Albert Einstein's special theory of relativity, picture two jugglers, one juggling on a steadily moving parade float, the other juggling while standing still on a sidewalk. The laws of physics are identical for both jugglers, regardless of their motion relative to each other. So it's about people. So it's not this there, it's not this there. So that's that. And then is it jugglers with an apostrophe? The laws of physics are identical for both jugglers. No, they don't own anything, so there we go. This is probably about tense, verb tense. Tortoises can be found in many works of literature. For example, in Tom Stopper's 1993 play Arcadia, there's a tortoise that goes by two names. Yeah. And it appears, because it's symmetry. It appears in both of the play's parallel timelines. Yeah, it's all present tense. It will have gone by two names, went by two names. No. Okay, so it goes. This is, again, about apostrophes. So let's just look at this. It can take time for proposed amendments to the U.S. Constitution to become law. For example, the 22nd Amendment, which limits the number of terms presidents can serve. No reason for an apostrophe here. The presidents don't own anything. The terms are not, it's not the president's terms. The terms presidents can serve. Nope, no reason for any of that. So there we go. All right, punctuation here. This is the one to check. We've got a colon, but a colon and a dash are often the same. Let's see. By analyzing the level of radioactive decay within a fossil specimen, scientists can establish the age of that fossil with a high degree of precision. When radioactive elements aren't present, scientists turn to stratigraphy, whatever that is, the analysis of Earth's sediment layer. So it's a double dash to insert a interruption to estimate how old the fossil base. Yes, it's not a parentheses, it's not a colon, it's not a comma. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that jumps out to me is we have a semicolon. Let's test if we have two sentences. That'll end it. So the measurement is based on how much and how quickly weight can be moved. Sounds like a sentence. 1 unit of mechanical horsepower is equivalent to the amount of power it takes to lift 550 pounds. Yeah, that sounds like a sentence too. Yeah, so we don't have a choice. We have 2 sentences. We need a semicolon. Okay, this is about pronouns again, singular, plural. My guess is it's going to be this one, but let's take a look. Water in the North Atlantic Ocean is pushed eastward by powerful winds, but the rotation of Earth and interference from nearby land masses together cause it to swirl in a massive churning whirlpool, right? Because we're talking about the water. Water is pushed eastward. The rotation and interference from nearby land masses together cause it. It's not them. Yeah, because it's not the winds that are becoming a a whirlpool. I think it's it. Yep. Yes. Let's do it. All right. Transition questions. We should also do these because these are generally also very quick and easy. In order to create the global positioning system, scientists had to develop an accurate mathematical model of Earth's shape that accounted for various forces, such as tides. It was mathematician Gladys West who wrote the computer program that could perform these necessary calculations. All right. It's not in other words. It's not secondly. It's not a firstly. And it's not an in addition, right? So ultimately means like in the end, or yeah. So scientists, yeah, had to, and so ultimately it was this person who did it. Though I don't love that, so I'm going to bookmark it. Maybe I'll come back and double check it. Okay, so these are all our different categories of transition words here represented. For few New Yorkers have heard Thelma Pollar's name. Many have seen her work. Yes, however, in the famous Broadway musical, as the musical's longtime makeup supervisor, Pollard put the iconic, yeah. So if you've heard her name, but many have seen her work. So that is classic. Yeah, just dumb it down. Okay. Doesn't matter that it's here. We're gonna look at this the same way. Coastal Futures Conservatory in Virginia is known for creating oral representations of ecological data. One such effort combines underwater audio recorded in seagrass beds with data that track rising carbon levels in the seagrass. As carbon levels increase, the audio is correspondingly distorted. Listeners can hear the changes in the carbon levels. So like, I guess thus, as a so, as carbon levels increase, the audio is correspondingly distorted, so listeners can hear the changes in the carbon levels. Okay, it's not a comparison. Is it a for instance? For instance, one such effort combines underwater audio recorded on seagrass beds with data that track rising carbon levels in the seagrass. As carbon levels increase, the audio is correspondingly distorted. For example, listeners can hear the changes in the carbon levels. How is that an example of the first part? I don't think it is. And furthermore, we don't really pick unless it's the only thing left. So I think it's so. Again, I don't like that. That's a hard one. Okay, for these ones, don't read the bullet points. Just go right to the question. The student wants to emphasize the thickness of lead-208's neutron skin. All right, so the neutron skin acquiring an atom of lead measures about 0.28 trillionths of a millimeter. Well, I guess that sounds like it's the thickness. Atoms with excess neutrons will often acquire a neutron skin. Doesn't talk about the thickness. An atom of lead-208, like some other atoms, is surrounded by a neutron skin. Doesn't talk about the thickness. Neutrons surround the surface. Okay, so we need to talk about the thickness. It literally is the only one that does that. The student wants to introduce Pauline Hopkins to an audience unfamiliar with her career. Okay. Pauline Hopkins is the author of Hagar's Daughter, a serialized novel published from 1901 to 1992. Okay. Tells me something about her. African-American writer Pauline Hopkins created many genre-defining stories during her career, including the first African-American mystery novel, Hagar's Daughter. Okay, well, that maybe is a little bit more detailed. Published in the Colored American magazine from 1901 to 1902, Hagar's Daughter is a serialized novel by Pauline Hopkins. That sounds like it's introducing Hagar's Daughter, not Pauline Hopkins. So that's focusing on the wrong person. Hagar's Daughter by Pauline Hopkins is considered the first African-American mystery novel? No. So I'm pretty sure it's this. Maybe I'll look at these. Yeah, in her career, she created many genre-defining stories. Her serialized novel was published in 1901 to 1902, including the first African-American mystery novel. Okay, yeah, seems right. Yeah, I think if we're unfamiliar with her career, we should get more about her career than just the one book. So I think that that's the answer. The student wants to emphasize whose point of view the novel is told from. Okay, from the point of view of the Ramayan, the character Kaki is often a villain. Okay, well, sounds like it's saying point of view. Vaishnavi Patel often portrays the character as heroic. No, that's not the point of view. Kaikeyi is a retelling of the Ramayan from the character Kaikeyi's point of view. Okay, the Ramayan is an epic poem that features the character. Okay, so I guess it's a... well, these are different, right? From the point of view of the Ramayana, and Kiki is retelling the Ramayana from the character Kiki's point of view. So which one is it? Novels retelling that book from this point of view. Yeah, there we go. I don't love this. This annoys me. So yeah, this is just factually wrong. Choice A. This is rare. They don't do this very often, but when you do, this is when you go to the bullet points. When you have two answers that seem to answer the question, go to the bullets. So now if I hit next, I go here, but I'm not actually done. I got to go back to the beginning. So vocab. Novelist Leon Forrest admired William Faulkner's writing style. Forrest's novel Divine Days contains a long passage in tribute to Faulkner that is a perfect blank of Faulkner's style. Anyone familiar with Faulkner's writing would see the resemblance. So we're copying the word resemblance. Maybe I do this. Yeah, cool. So it's an imitation, just they're repeating themselves. A unique dialect or regional variety of Spanish is spoken in Puerto Rico. It contains many words borrowed from the language of the Taínos, the indigenous people of Puerto Rico. African languages also made important contributions to the Puerto Rican dialect. For example, the way certain vowel sounds are pronounced in it can be blank of how they are pronounced in Yoruba. For example, the way certain vowel sounds are pronounced in it can be traced to how, okay, maybe. Surrender doesn't make sense. Announce, no, you're not announcing anything. Offered, no. So I didn't know what to put in that blank, but sometimes you just test them out and that one makes sense. The invention in 1958 of the integrated circuit radically altered the semiconductor industry. In fact, some historians argue that it fundamentally shifted the industry or changed the industry by enabling it to take advantage of mass production. How about transformed? Seems pretty good. Yes, nothing else makes sense. Radar and sonar can detect objects or people through walls, but they are too costly for consumer use. Researchers, whatever, have shown, however, that there may be a comparatively cheap, right? Because it's the opposite of costly. So there you go. Alternative, so inexpensive. Yeah, small changes to the Wi-Fi technologies and smartphones can give users the cheap way. Yeah, it says cheap right here too. Count or even identify the gestures through the wall. So, yeah, okay. The early British postal system required the cost of mail delivery to be paid upon receipt, a system which encouraged inventive strategies by the intended recipient to avoid payment. To improve this system, blank were proposed in 1837, including the use of a postage stamp. A small receipt pasted the mail, indicating the delivery cost has been paid by the sender. How about changes? Reforms, yes, good, perfect. Nothing else makes sense. Okay, now we got some passage questions, and we've got 20 minutes to go. So this is why we start with the grammar, is you get a lot of stuff done really fast. So main purpose of the text, let's just go in and get a dumb summary. In 1154, Muhammad al-Idrisi completed a collection of maps of the lands known to medieval Arabic and European scholars. This collection was titled whatever after the Norman king Roger II, who hired him to create it. To create the collection, al-Idrisi consulted Arabic and Greek maps and interviewed travelers about the lands they visited. He included these travelers' stories alongside the map illustrations. Okay, it just seems like it's about this guy's project. To discuss the benefits of studying map making? No, it's not about map making. It's about this guy's map. To explain how travelers created maps? Nope, not about travelers, about this guy. To describe a collection of medieval maps and how it was created? That seems right. To compare medieval Arabic and Greek map mapping techniques? Nope, not about that. So pretty obviously C. Main purpose. A study by Dr. Paul Hanel and colleagues concluded that people are more likely to behave politely when listening to ideas they disagree with if they think about values before they engage in a discussion. Study participants were assigned to one of two groups. The experimental group spent a few minutes writing about one of their personal values before they had a group discussion on a controversial topic, and the control group spent a few minutes writing about a drink before their group discussion on that topic. Hanel and colleagues found that the experimental group's discussion was more civil than the control group's discussion was. Okay, so it's an experiment. To describe a widely held belief? No, that's too strong. And how a study's results support that belief? I don't think it's widely held. It just seems about one study, so that seems too strong. To argue that researchers were surprised by the results, so they're surprised. I don't see the word surprised in here or anything like it. That just says that they found it, so surprise seems strong. To suggest ways to improve a certain study's, no, the study wasn't bad. To explain a study's conclusion and how a research team derived that, yeah, it's just about the study, okay. Okay, how would text 1 respond to text 2? So let's read text 1 first. Mycoprotein is a fungal biomass that can be eaten as an alternative to meat. Studies of the environmental impact of its manufacture generally agree it is lower than that of beef and closer to that of chicken or pork, but the expense of producing mycoprotein restricts its availability to a few countries with post-industrial economies. Knowing that cost reductions would expand access to mycoprotein, biochemists are exploring solutions such as cheaper substrate to feed the mycoprotein as it grows. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little dumb summary here. So this is reading module 1. So I know, and this is question 8, and text 1 says, something about the mycoprotein is kind of good and bad, kind of expensive. Okay, so let's see what 2 says. Cattle farming is a principal cause of global deforestation, and a study by Florian Huppenoder and his colleagues found that replacing 20% of beef consumption worldwide with consumption of mycoprotein would cut deforestation by half if accomplished over the next 30 years. However, this would likely involve only a small change in agricultural water consumption, since water once dedicated to raising cattle would be diverted to raising crops instead. So he's saying this is good. So how would text 1 mostly respond to text 2, saying that there are drawbacks, right? They'd probably focus on this. So A, by emphasizing that since agricultural water consumption would remain static in the event of replacing beef consumption with mycoprotein consumption, an effort must be made to substitute mycoprotein for chicken and pork in diets as well. I barely understand this. This just seems very complicated. Let's move on to B. By asserting that the development of a more inexpensive substrate for mycoprotein production would contribute to the goal of decreasing worldwide deforestation over time. Well, it's about the money. That seems good. So this one's more about the money. Let's choose it for now. By noting that most people would be more likely to use mycoprotein as a substitute for chicken or pork in their diets than as a substitute for beef. No, I don't know what most people would do. This is a classic trap, so let's get rid of that. By pointing out that some countries are responsible for greater deforestation than others, and thus to have any significant effect on the environment, will have to replace more than 20% of their beef consumption with mycoprotein. Is it about like comparing different countries? I don't think so. It restricts its availability. So this is about a couple countries being able to do that. I don't think it's about, well, they're not really about deforestation at all. So I guess it's B. Yeah, maybe I come back, but I could look at A again, like emphasizing that since agricultural water consumption would remain static in the event of replacing beef consumption with mycoprotein consumption. It seems to be that the beef is better. I just don't think it's about the water. By certain development of a more inexpensive substrate for mycoprotein, right? Because the expense of, them producing it, exploring a cheaper substrate. Yeah. This is the only one that's about this. So I'll leave it marked, but I'm confident. Main topic of the text. Look how short those are. Archaeologists have discovered a runestone in Norway that may contain the earliest example of written words in Scandinavia. Carbon dating at the discovery site revealed that the stone was likely carved between 1 and 250 CE. Runologist Crystal Zilmer believes the stone will be helpful in learning more about the use of runic alphabets in early Iron Age Scandinavia. So the rune is important. It's not about the battles. It's about the rune. It's not about the method. It's not about her. Good. Done. What did Sun and colleagues discover about surfactants? Okay, I don't know what those are. Microplastics are tiny pieces of plastic waste. Areas of the ocean with higher concentrations of microplastic particles also have smaller and fewer waves. A study by Yukun Sun and colleagues found that the concentration of microplastic particles cannot be the only reason for this reduced wave activity, because the concentration of particles that would have the observed effect is much higher than that found in these areas of the ocean. However, they found that surfactants, chemicals often used to manufacture plastics, are released into the water from microplastics and have a much stronger wave-reducing effect. So I guess what they found is that the surfactants are the problem. They have a much stronger effect on wave activity. Yeah, I think so. Much stronger seems strong. They are mainly composed of water. I don't think so. They are helpful for removing microplastics. No, they're not removing them. They can be used to contain microplastics. No, it's definitely A. So this is a strong word, but I got to go with it. Everything else makes no sense. 11. All right, so this is probably an easy one because the choices are so short. Anytime I see these, there's a lot going on, but let's take a look. So I'm going to read the passage quickly. Self-employed workers, individuals who are not employees of other individuals or businesses, etc., and their income as business owners, and make up an important part of the youth labor force. In order to receive legal and tax benefits enjoyed by corporations, self-employed individuals may choose. 2015 survey of incorporated and unincorporated self-employment rates in 4 occupation fields showed the highest incorporated self-employment rate occurred among people. So highest incorporated self-employment occurred among people working in. Highest incorporated self-employment. Incorporated self-employment, highest is management, right? There you go, right? That's it. Illustrates the claim. There's confusion. Novel admires ambition to the exclusion of all other qualities. Joanna was mightily interested in people who had a purpose in life. Otherwise, not at all. Yeah, that's literally it. Indeed, from the very beginning, Joanna showed her preference for her father, but is her father ambitious? I don't know. Joanna was like her father not only so as far as ambition was concerned, but also in her willingness to work. Okay, well, it's about her ambition. I want ambition in other people. This is clearly a trap. She had a good sense of logic, a strong power of concentration, and a remark. Okay, yeah, this is not about it, so it's definitely A. Okay, data supporting the conclusion. So, okay. These people hypothesize that workplace leaders who reflect on lessons learned from past mistakes are likely to exhibit more humility than leaders who don't engage in such reflection. Is that the conclusion? To test this, the team placed 301 managers in one of three groups. Participants in two experimental groups were asked to reflect on a mistake, one group focusing on a mistake that resulted in learning, and the other group focusing on a mistake that didn't result in learning. Participants in a control group were asked to reflect on the other routine. All the participants then described how they would respond to a workplace. After evaluating the responses for evidence of humility, the researchers concluded that their hypothesis was correct. So this is just telling me to go back here. They hypothesized that workplace leaders who reflect on lessons learned from past mistakes are likely to exhibit more humility. Okay. So sure. So, okay. So mistake. Yeah. Mistakes are better than none. Mistake, average humility score. Okay. So the average humility score, is that really a thing? None of the three groups' average humility scores exceed 3.5. Yeah, I don't care. The managers in the control group exhibited only slightly less humility on average than did the managers in the two experimental groups. Yeah, but that seems like it's saying that it doesn't matter, right? We wanted it to be more humility. And so this is saying that it's kind of the same. So that seems to contradict it, right? We want to support the conclusion. The managers who reflected on a past mistake that resulted in learning, exhibited more humility on average than the managers in the other two groups did. Yes. All three groups exhibited less humility on average than the researchers expected. I don't know what they expected. So this is the right answer, I guess, but it seems like a negligible thing. So workplace leaders who reflect on lessons learned from the past, are likely to exhibit more humility than leaders who don't do that. So yes, that result in learning exhibited more humility. I guess. If you're valuing responses. It's a good example of like, you're not allowed to interpret it your own way. You just got to go with what this says. Like, this is dumb. This barely means anything to me. What the heck is a humility score? Ooh, I can highlight this. Ooh, interesting. Ooh. No, that doesn't do anything. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. This is a dumb question. Which choice most logically completes the text? If an animal has been extinct for a long time, how can scientists learn what color it was? One group of scientists came up with a possible answer. When the scientists examined the fossilized feather of an extinct bird, they found melanosomes in it. Melanosomes produce pigment or grains of color inside cells. Because melanosomes are shaped differently depending on which colors they produce, the scientists hypothesized that they could, what is this, quote 14? They could predict based on shape, something like that. Right? They could show how melanosomes can be found in fossils belonging to animals from other extinct species. It doesn't do anything but the color or the shape. Okay, determine the colors of the birds based on the appearance. Yeah, okay, that's probably it. Explain why the melanosomes in the feather were so well preserved. Nope, it's not about that. Identify the colors of extinct animals whose fossils lack. No, because they're saying this is the way that they do it. So if they didn't have the melanosomes, then I don't know what they would do. So yeah, this is basically just what I said. Okay. Logically completes the text. And I think this is my last question. Yeah. All right, we got 10 minutes, so we got plenty of time. This is typical first module. You'd have plenty of time if you've been studying. In 2022, Crystal Reek and colleagues studied whether the decision-making modes that guide consumers influence their choice between non-environmentally friendly standard electricity plans and environmentally friendly green plans that cap electricity usage. Study participants who self-reported using either an effect mode or role mode, which prioritize choices that have a stronger positive emotional or social impact respectively, were more likely to select a green plan. Conversely, participants using a calculation mode, which aims to minimize both financial cost and personal inconvenience, were more likely to select a standard plan, even when the green option was cheaper. This finding suggests that participants using a calculation mode... What? Okay. Well, the calculation mode, it seems to be... So my guess here, and you don't have to come up with a guess, but my guess for what's happening here is they're saying calc mode is supposed to be about cost and convenience. but they were more likely to do the standard plan even when the option was cheaper, so that they're more interested in convenience, right? Think of it like a math equation. So the convenience is more important, I guess. Let's see if that's an answer. Were equally unlikely to factor the financial savings of the green plan into their decision making, as were participants using either the effect or role modes. Are we comparing those people? I don't know. I don't know what this means. They may have been less strongly motivated to appear socially responsible with their choice of plan than they realized. I don't know what they realized. So that seems wrong too. May have determined that the green plan imposed additional burdens on them that were not sufficiently offset by the potential financial savings. Meaning, yeah, it's the convenience and the cost together matter, but the convenience matters more. I think this is it. We're less likely to believe that the green plan was truly cost effective than were participants using either the affect or role modes. I just don't think it's A or D, because I don't think we're really meant to compare them here. This is definitely like a harder question. I'm glad I left it for last, because now I can spend some time on it, but I'm pretty sure it's C. Let me double check. Okay, so what are they saying here? Study participants who self-reported using either an affect mode or role mode, which prioritize choices that have a strong positive emotional or social impact respectively, were more likely to select a green plan. So they self-reported using one of these modes. What does that even mean? Were more likely to select a green plan. So basically, if they thought they self-reported that they were interested in being emotional or social, I guess. And conversely, participants using a calculation mode, which means to minimize both financial cost and personal inconvenience, were more likely to select a standard plan. So the standard plan is, I guess, non-environmentally friendly. So we'll highlight that. Even when green option was cheaper, right? So yeah, so it's not about the money. That's all I see. This is a good example of don't overthink it. Don't try to prove the wrong answer is right? Like the right answer is right. This may have determined that the green plan imposed additional burdens on them that were not sufficiently offset by potential financial savings. Meaning, yes, if they were in this calculation mode, they were thinking about money and convenience. But even though the green plan is cheaper, that means that it's really not about the money. It's about the convenience. And so there were additional burdens on the green plan that they were like, nah, not for me. And the money wasn't the biggest thing. So I don't even understand these other choices, but like this one fits. So let's do it. We've answered everything. At this point, if this is a real test, obviously go back, check things, but I don't. Yeah, this is correct. I don't love this one, mostly because ultimately it's such a stupid transition. It's not in other words because it's a different thing. It's not secondly, because it's not like a step 1, step 2, right? Step 1 would be an accurate mathematical model, and then the person who did that is Gladys. So ultimately, they knew that they had to do this thing. So ultimately, it was this person who did it. Yeah, it's just a dumb transition. That's the problem with these transition questions, is like sometimes the answers are just stupid and you just wouldn't use them in real life. I don't love this one either. As carbon levels increase, the audio is correspondingly distorted, so listeners can hear the changes in the carbon levels. So you notice how I'm saying so, because thus is not a normal word that we use every day. So is. Feels like a so. Furthermore would be and, but again, we don't really use this kind of transition unless we've got nothing else. So feels like it fits. It's not a comparison. For example, an example of what? It's not an example of the audio being distorted. It's just another way of thinking about it. It's another description of the same thing. It's explaining how the distortion works. If I'm going to get anything wrong in this section, it's going to be this one. But I'm pretty sure that that's right. So I've got 5 minutes left. Again, real test. Go back, read them again, do all sorts of things. But for the sake of shortening my video, I'm going to move on. So we're going to hit, we're going to go here, go to review page, and I'm going to hit next, and it's going to do it. But I'm going to stop the video so I can kind of reset before section 2. All right, it goes right into section 2. So if you're taking a practice test or the real thing, you got no break here. It's just right into it. So let's just get right to it. I'm going to do the same thing I did in module 1. I'm going to go to question 15. I'm going to look for that first grammar question, which is 15. And here it's even more important to do that. So let's take a look. This is about sentence structure. We've got periods, we've got semicolons. So let's think about sentences. I'm going to start here. Before the park's construction, the surface temperature 30 meters outside of the park boundary was 0.1 degrees cooler than that of a control area. That sounds like a sentence. I don't know about this after. That sounds like a sentence. After construction, the temperature 30 meters outside of the boundary was 1.7 degrees cooler than that of the control area. So it seems like just two sentences, right? Would the after, right? Is that a semicolon? Oh, it's a comma in B. Oh my God. See, this is too tiny on my screen. That looks like a semicolon right there. But nope, it's not. It's a comma. This is a comma. This is nothing. So no choice. It's two sentences. We need a period. Okay. I don't know why. Oof, that's hard to see. Okay. This is also about sentence structure. We got a semicolon. We got a colon. These temporary supports, a construction system known as false work, were removed when the bridge was completed. There's no sentence there. So these temporary supports, a construction system known as false work. That is not a sentence. So this doesn't work. This doesn't work. It's in a positive, right? We're describing, we have our temporary supports. That's our term. And then we have our definition that a construction system known as false work. It's longer, so it's got the two commas to separate it out. So there you go. So this is plural, singular, plural, plural. So it's definitely this. Let's take a look. This is why it's important to know the rule, because you can kind of do this stuff. So in Palo Whatever's solar punk short story Efficiency, an artificial intelligence that absorbs sustainable energies, redistributing them through intricate networks of weights and generators, powers Chicago's energy grid. So what is the subject? An artificial intelligence that absorbs sustainable energies, powers Chicago's energy grid. So very easy if we know the rule. Yeah. So we got some sentence structure stuff again. Let's think about sentences. In modern plays, actors typically won't acknowledge the audience. That's a sentence. As to do so breaks the fourth wall, a metaphorical barrier between actors and audiences that allows viewers to respond. Okay, so yeah, this is a sentence. Not this part. We can cross this part off. Can I cross it out? No. So we'll make it blue. Doesn't matter. It's this part I care about. So we can't do this, and we can't do this. To do so breaks the fourth wall. As to do so. Why would we put the as? I think it's this. To do so breaks the fourth wall. So to do so is like the subject, I guess. As to do so. As to do so. That if this was a comma with the as, I feel like that'd be right. I'm pretty sure it's C, but if I'm going to get a grammar question wrong, I think it's going to be that one. Okay, we got to think about sentence structure again. We got a colon. Where's the sentence start? Butterfly is a 1988 painting by the Japanese artist. Like many of this person's paintings, Butterfly, which portrays a swimmer performing the butterfly stroke, attempts to make use of the entire visual light spectrum. Okay, that's a sentence. Sporting rainbow-striped goggles, the rainbow-hued swimmer splashes through a wavy rainbow of water. Yeah, it needs to be this because it's two sentences. Now, while... Let me just make sure. The painting's attempt, Butterfly attempts to make use of the entire visual light spectrum while sporting rainbow-striped goggles, the rainbow-hued, no, because the while is applying to the rainbow-hued swimmer. And this makes it sound like it's the spectrum. It makes use of the entire visual light spectrum while sporting. No. It's definitely this. Okay. Again, sentence structure. The Limon technique developed by this person is known for its emphasis on breath control and its interplay of weight and weightlessness. Dancers may explore, for example, the moment of midair suspension at the top of a jump. Yeah, it's again, we need this. It's two sentences. Weightlessness. Dancers may explore the moment of midair suspension at the top of a jump. Yeah, dancers may explore. Okay. Which dancers may explore, for example, the moment of midair. Yeah, this is the trap, but it can't be that. These are tricky. All right, transitions. In 1942, the 1,500-mile Alaska Highway was constructed in under 9 months, largely due to the skilled work of nearly 4,000 African-American soldiers from the U.S. Army Engineering Regiment. The soldiers' contribution was overlooked for decades. In 2017, lawmakers declared October 25th the day of recognition for the troops who helped build this crucial rise. So it was overlooked, but now they're recognized. So there's no but. Then in 2017, it's not similarly, for example, it's not an example of it being overlooked. And it's not like really an order of things. So then is kind of working like a but here. It was overlooked, then it was recognized. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Observing that a fire in a closed container soon went out, leading 18th century scientists did not conclude that fresh air is necessary for combustion. Instead, many theorized that the container's air had become saturated with a substance called phlogiston. When Joseph Priestley first isolated oxygen in 1774, he termed it dephlogisticated air. For this reason, yeah, it's not these two. It's not a contrast. And it's not in other words because it's something new. In other words, when, yeah, it's for this reason. Okay, the student wants to describe how scientific understanding about the glass's origin has evolved. Okay, so how has scientific understanding evolved? Scientists have long sought to determine the origin of the glass, with one study concluding that it formed when ancient grass fires melted. No, that's not evolving. Studies in 2017 and 2021 offered different explanations. Okay, but what were the explanations? Mineral signatures of glass samples are consistent with those of comet samples. Okay, I don't know what that has anything to do with it. A 2017 study concluded that ancient grass fires had caused the glass's formation, but new research suggested the glass formed as a result of a cometary explosion. Yeah, it's suggesting how it evolved. Okay, cool. The student wants to begin a narrative about the creation of the robots. What? Okay, begin a narrative about the creation of the robots? When one of Yasmin Okanaden's robots encounters a gap in its path, it sends a signal to another robot. The signaled robot connects to the back of the signaler and pushes it across the gap. Doesn't sound like a beginning of a narrative. After a year, this person designed, built, okay, doesn't sound like a beginning. Inspired by ants, which form bridges with their interlocked bodies to help fellow ants cross gaps, this person set out to design quadruped robots capable of similarly, okay, that sounds like an intro. It sounds like a narrative, I guess. Ants, which have inspired the design of robots, form bridges. No, okay. I think this is it. This is a weird instruction, but fine. Student wants to emphasize a difference between in how katydids and crab spiders use mimicry. So a difference, focus on that. Katydids mimic the appearance of flowers and crab spiders mimic that of leaves. I'd love this to say but okay. Katydids and crab spiders are two examples of animals. Nope, that's saying they're the same. Unlike crab spiders, which use mimicry to ambush prey, katydids use mimicry to hide from predators. Okay, that might be it. Animals that use mimicry have evolved to resemble other... Okay, so it's definitely C in how they use mimicry, right? So they use mimicry to ambush prey, and they use mimicry to hide from predators. This is definitely it, because this is not emphasizing a difference. It's just saying, yeah, like what they look like. I guess I could double check. So crab spiders... ambush, katydids, hide. Yep, good. Okay. The student wants to describe the exhibition that Guerrero curated in 2018. Okay, so held at the Whitney Museum of American Art, the exhibition, whatever, included nearly 200 works by 20th century. So that could be it, I guess. It doesn't say 2018. This thing, an exhibition at the Whitney Museum of Art, featured works by 7. Okay. They're two different exhibitions, right? In both 2018, Marcel Guerrero created exhibitions. Okay, but that does not describe either exhibition. While one exhibition that Marcel curated featured works, yeah. So I got to now go to the bullets and see which one is the 2018 one. So the 2018 one is the Pacha, right? So Pacha. See, even when you got to go to the bullets, it's really easy. The student wants to use one of the poems to illustrate the sestema form. Okay, sestema form. Hacker employs the sestema, a poetic form with 30 lines and 6 N-words in both foreign Cessna and towards autumn. Well, is that really illustrating it? Right? It seems like I want an example. As the sestema towards autumn contains 39 lines and 6 N-words, in this case, daughter, friend, red, okay, that alternate in a set pattern. Okay, that sounds like it's an illustration. And the sestema, okay, sestina. The 39-line sestina uses the words whatever and, okay. So this feels more descriptive. Hacker has used the sestina form multiple times, as in this, which contains those 6 words. I don't think it's this one. One of the poems to illustrate the sestina form. Okay, 39, each line of the poem ends with one of 6 N-words, which alternate according to a set pattern. This is N-words, okay. Okay, they're both them. So, it contains 39 lines and 6 N-words that alternate in a set pattern. Yeah, like I feel like it's just defining it, right? Like this is wrong because it doesn't talk about the alternating. Like that seems more important. Hacker used the sestima multiple times, which contains these 6 words. It's B. It's just the most descriptive is really what it is. Okay, going back to 1. So a little bit slower than last time. And now the words are harder. Okay. The way in which individual elements are balanced within a photographic image tends to affect how viewers perceive it. Symmetry tends to give the elements equal importance. Asymmetry emphasizes differences, and radial balance emphasizes the center over the periphery. What a photograph conveys is therefore largely, determined by how it's balanced, inhibited, contingent on, obligated to, reserved for. Yeah, contingent means just like dependent on. Yeah. Cuttlefish appear to be surprisingly blank at exercising self-control. In a 2021 study conducted by Havre, these cephalopods routinely demonstrated restraint by delaying gratification, waiting for a favorite treat, waiting, restrained, instead of instantly devouring. So surprisingly good at exercising self-control. Competent means good. Economists often assert that countries looking to increase their reliance on solar energy should expand their capacity for storage. Having an ample reserve of stored energy can mitigate the effects of blank solar energy collection caused by unpredictable shifts. So this is something bad, right? Mitigate means to fix. So it can fix the effects of something solar energy collection, developments of, fluctuations in solar energy collection caused by unpredictable shifts. So unpredictable shift is a fluctuation. They're just repeating themselves. No and no. So yeah, definitely that. They're just repeating themselves. As discussed by scholar whatever, many artworks produced in the mid-1990s to the early 2000s exclusively for exhibition on the internet, such as this, have become inaccessible because viewing them requires the use of blank software. Have become outdated. It's not this and it's not this. Defunct. Arcane means like old and ancient, and I guess that's kind of what they're going for here, but defunct means it's not functioning anymore. Defunct. That's tricky. I feel like arcane is close, but it just would be weird here. It's a good example of usage. You gotta just kind of feel it out, and knowing the word helps. Yeah. All right. Oh, love it. All right. We got a poem. Okay. Among the wild rice in the still lagoon, in monotone the lizard shrills his tune. The wild goose homing seeks a sheltering where rushes grow and oozing lichens cling. Late cranes with heavy wing and lazy flight sail up the silence with the nearing night, and like a spirit swathed in some soft veil, steals twilight and its shadows o'er the swale. Hushed lie the sedges and the vapors creep, thick gray and humid while the marshes sleep. Okay, it's just like a description of different things. It names animal species found in a place, then names plant species there. Wild rice seems like a plant first, so I think that's just wrong. It sketches a setting by presenting a series of images of nature. Okay. It makes an extended comparison of nature to human emotions. Does it though? It identifies a location that refers to a person living there. Who's the person? These are birds. Hunched line says the vapors creep. I don't think there's a person here. So I don't think there's a person. An extended comparison of nature to human emotions. In the monotone, the lizard shrills his tune. The wild goose homing seeks a sheltering. Where rushes grow. What are the emotions? They're lazy. Steals twilight. It just seems like don't overthink it. I think it's this. It's just a bunch of images of nature, right? The cranes, the lizard, everything's just kind of sitting around. So I don't know. I'll come back, but it seems to just be obvious here. Function the underlying portion. Okay. Narrator is a young girl living in Pittsburgh. I walked. My mother had given me the freedom of the streets as soon as I could say our telephone number. I walked and memorized the neighborhood. I made a mental map and located myself upon it. At night in bed, I rehearsed the small world scheme and set challenges. Find the store using backyards only. Imagine a route from the school to my friend's house. Okay, so it's just repeating this. It's just an example of that. Describes the narrator trying to memorize or tell. No. Provides examples of what the narrator thinks about at night. Okay, maybe. It gives directions. No. Does not give directions. It portrays the narrator's relationship with her mother. No. Okay, it's definitely this. Turkins. Okay. The text is set in a Russian city referred to as the city of S. The newcomers of the little provincial city of S complained that life there was monotonous and dull. Its inhabitants would answer that, on the contrary, S was a very amusing place. Indeed, that it had a library and a club, and that balls were given there, and finally that very pleasant families lived there with whom one might become acquainted. But then they always pointed to the Turkins as the most accomplished and most enlightened family of all. So what is it suggested by the Turkins? They're good. They're relative newcomers. No. They have unique status. Maybe. That's kind of strong. They have long disliked? No. They are amused by the other residents. I don't think so. Yeah, and as they always pointed to the Turkins as the most accomplished. Okay, fine. Unique status. Fine. Song sung by Rainey and Smith. Okay, in the 1988 book, Angela Davis bases her analysis in part on recordings of songs in the 1920s by Gertrude Ma, Rainey, and Bessie Smith. Davis focuses on how Rainey and Smith improvised the lyrics, so improvise seems strong. They're replacing the original lines with mischievous jokes and wordplay. Davis's work was particularly labor-intensive because in order to transcribe or write down the lyrics as Rainey and Smith sang them, Davis had to listen repeatedly to the vinyl recordings, which weren't very clear. Okay, what's strong association with the song sung? The songs have grown in popularity? I don't know about that. No. There were more recordings made of Smith's Rainey's song than there were of Smith's. Is it comparing the two of them? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not a comparison. There were few, if any, reliable transcriptions of Smith's and Rainey's improvised lyrics when Davis began her research. Maybe. According to Davis, the songs sung by Rainey were more musically innovative. Are they? Again, they're not comparing the two of them. The lyrics of Rainey Smith sang that Davis had really okay. Yeah, it's not saying one is better, right? So why are there few transcriptions? She had to listen to them a bunch because yeah, I guess she had to write them down, I guess. I don't think any of the other things are provable. Let's just move on. Main idea. Okay. Karenin is the dog that belongs to Tomas and Teresa. Okay. Karenin was not overjoyed by the move to Switzerland from Prague. Karenin hated change. Dog time cannot be plotted along a straight line. It does not move on and on from one thing to the next. It moves in a circle like the hands of a clock, which they too, unwilling to dash madly ahead, turn around and round the face day in and day out following the same path. In Prague, when Thomas and Teresa brought a new chair or moved a flower pot, Karenin would look on in displeasure. It disturbed his sense of time. It was as though they were trying to dupe the hands of the clock by changing the numbers on its face. Okay, the dog doesn't like change is really what, yeah. I mean, literally it says that. This is my main idea. As a dog, Karenin possesses a sense of time that involves a strong preference for predictability and aversion to disruption. Like, that's literally just a fancier version of that sentence. After he's moved to a new home, Karenin's negative response to change has become more pronounced. Let's see. Are they comparing that? Not overjoyed. In Prague, they brought a new chair. I don't know. It seems like he's just as upset when they just moved to chairs when they moved to a new house. So I don't think it's a comparison comparing those two types of change. Similar to these people, Karenin comprehends time as circular rather than a straightforward progression. No, it's saying the dog's time is different. It cannot be plotted along a certain time. It does not move on and on. It's not comparing the dog to the people. As is the case for other dogs, Karenin's sense of time seems to accelerate depending on the dog. No, it's not about accelerating. Yeah, this is just that sentence. A strong sense of time that involves a strong preference for predictability, right? It's in Prague, when they bought a new chair, he would look on in displeasure, disturbed his sense of time, right? It moves in a circle. Like, I don't really understand this part, but this feels right. Moving on. With finding of true would most strongly support the underlying explanation. Okay. Gorgets or necklaces with large pendants have been part of the ceremony of Italian tribes in the U.S. Southeast for centuries. One of the oldest examples is a Fairfield gorget was found in Fairfield, Missouri in 1958. Its overall design resembles that of other art from the region during the Mississippian period. Yet the image on the gorget is one of a jaguar, a species whose range didn't extend to Missouri. Jaguar images are common in ancient Mexican art, and Mexico lies squarely in the species' range. Therefore, some scholars argue that long-distance trade in Mexican art objects brought the imagery to Missouri, where a local artist could have adopted it and incorporated it into the Fairfield gorget. Okay, so we're trying to say, let me even write this down maybe. So this is RH or R2. This is number 10. It's long-distance trade in Mexico. I brought the image to Missouri, where a local artist, right? So something like, yeah, Mexico to Missouri, anything like that, I'm going to be good with. The Fairfield Gorge is dated not to the Mississippian period, but instead to the earlier Woodland period, which ended around 900. I don't know why that would matter. The range of the jaguar is shown to have expanded dramatically after the Mississippian period. No, because the whole point is it's about the trade. An ancient Mexican art object is found at a site that dates the Mississippian period and is close to where the field. Okay, maybe. Certain works by present-day artists from Southeastern. No, it's definitely this. It's just saying that they traded other things. Yeah, they traded other things, and so if they traded other things, then it's possible that they learned about the jaguar from other things. This is easy. Oh God, I hate these. Okay, let me just see where we're at. We got 10 minutes. All right, I got 4 questions. Oop. All right, I'm gonna skip this. Okay, this looks easy. The main goal of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, an arts organization founded in 1965, is to advance new works by Black musicians. The AACM achieves this goal in part by focusing on young artists. By having established musicians and composers serve as mentors, the AACM gives young artists the benefits of expert technical training and creative guidance. Numerous organizations offer similar kinds of support to new generations of painters, writers, and other artists, suggesting that helping young people is good, is something I'm getting. Like, right? So this is 13. Young, good. Okay. Artists of all ages benefit more from technical training than from creative guidance. No, it's not a comparison like that. Many arts organizations recognize the importance of providing opportunities for young artists to learn from experienced mentors. It's kind of just what I said. Most established artists could become even better artists by serving as mentors. Most is very strong. I don't know what could happen. This is getting very assumption-based. Finding a mentor is more important for musicians than it is for painters. No, it's not saying that they're different. It's saying that they're the same, right? It's saying they all do it, right? So many organizations recognize this. Yeah, this is easy. Let's do this one too. And this is my last of these. Yeah, okay. Tatiana Feuerborn and colleagues analyzed the genomes of more than 11,000, or for more than, 100 domesticated dogs from sites in Siberia dating from 11,000 years to the present. Okay. They found that the dogs constituted a genetically isolated population. That seems important. Of Arctic breeds until approximately 2,000 years ago, at which point there was substantial interbreeding. So now they change with Near Eastern dog breeds. Furthermore, beginning around 2,000 years ago, some sites contain artifacts consistent with a Near East origin, like glass beads, but the people show no evidence of having traveled extensively outside of Siberia. From this, Feuerborn colleagues concluded that around 2,000 years, they started trading. This is more about trading. There are a lot of trading things, right? So they traded or met the other people, right? So they're not, or maybe they came to them. I don't know. Something happened. Dogs and artifacts like glass beads began to be transported from the Near East to Siberia, right? Is that the right direction, right? Because Near East, well, let's just leave it in for now. Let's worry about other things. People from Siberia began to reach the Near East where they acquired dogs and artifacts such as glass beads. Okay, so these are opposite. So let's keep going for now. Glass beads and other artifacts in the Near East began to be exchanged for dogs. That's a little strong, right? We don't know that they changed the dogs and the beads. They could have just done both things, right? Dogs in the Near East began to be exchanged for glass beads. Ooh, this is an interesting question. It's very similar choices. Okay, so let's go back. I understand what they want from me, though. I don't think it's these two, because I don't think we know. This is too strong. We don't know that they're specifically saying, here, take my dog, give me some beads. That's a big claim. So that's more specific than just saying the people began to meet and the things used to would come together. So, okay. In Siberia, we have isolated dogs. And then 2,000 years ago, they started interbreeding with Near Eastern dogs. Some sites, meaning the Siberian sites, contain artifacts consistent with the Near Eastern. Okay, so the Siberians get Near East stuff. But the people show no evidence of having traveled. So the Siberians are staying put. So, yeah, maybe I write that. Siberians equals staying. Right? So that means then that the Easterners are coming to them, right? So dogs and artifacts like glass beads began to be transported from the Near East to Siberia. Seems good. People from Siberia began to reach the Near East. No, this they're literally saying is wrong. So it's got to be this. Let's just look at these other two again. Glass beads and other artifacts in the Near East began to be exchanged for dogs from the Near East. No, again, I don't know. That's too strong. Exchanged for glass beads and other artifacts. No, because we're finding both things, right? In Siberia, both the dogs and the beads are there, right? The new dogs and the new beads are there. So they're not switching. They're not like saying, hey, take our dogs. It's got to be this. This is just so nice and weak, and it doesn't have any contradictions. All right, let's go to this. Ugh, I hate these so much. Now let's do this one. Which statement of true would most strongly support the claim made by these people about acceleration? I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay. The cause of the acceleration. Okay. Initially observed in 2017, the astral object, whatever, is the first object that's kind of be seen in our solar system. Researchers have been puzzled because the acceleration can't be entirely explained by the gravitational pull of nearby bodies. Okay. So acceleration cannot be entirely explained. There must be non-gravitational influence on its velocity and trajectory. So non-gravitational influence. Some previously suggested explanations for this non-gravitational acceleration involve mechanisms that are unlikely or unrealistic, such as geometric effects from this thing being potentially composed of several spatially separated bodies. Now, this person and colleagues propose that the non-gravitational acceleration is due to the gaseous expulsion of entrapped hydrogen. Okay, so strongly support the claim. So the claim for 12 is hydrogen expulsion, hydrogen gas. I don't know, something like that. Okay. Whew, these are long choices. Existing proposed models of outgassing from this thing include the direct conversion of nitrogen or carbon monoxide from a solid to a gaseous state without becoming liquid. But these models have theoretical or observational inconsistencies. That seems to be saying something is wrong. That doesn't sound like it supports anything. So I don't know what this even means. This thing's trajectory is inconsistent with the non-gravitational acceleration that would be caused by the release of hydrogen gas resulting from the processing of water ice. But the interstellar object's observable properties can be explained if it has a significant component of molecular hydrogen ice. Okay, well, hydrogen's in there, so let's keep it. Since non-gravitational accelerations of interstellar objects are several orders of magnitude weaker than gravitational accelerations, deviation from behavior that could be fully attributed to gravitational pull has been detected on a limited number of objects similar. Like, what? This doesn't have anything to do with the gas, right? Don't I want the gas? Exposure to interstellar cosmic radiation can result in the formation of embedded pockets of hydrogen gas and water ice. Moreover, when traveling through the solar system, this thing experienced warming sufficient to alter its icy structure and allow for outgassing. Yeah, it's just saying it has these hydrogen things. So this is evidence that there's hydrogen. There is entrapped hydrogen. And when traveling through the solar system, it experienced warming sufficient to alter its ice structure and allow for the outgassing, right? Because the gaseous expulsion is what matters. I don't even understand these other choices. I guess if I had time, I'd come back to this. But like, this one just seems like it's the right stuff. Let's go to 11. All right, complete the text. All right, so participative pricing, in which purchasers choose the prices they pay for products, can enable sellers to capitalize on the heterogeneous values consumers assign to the same goods and services, but doing so requires careful messaging. Okay, these people recruited these participants at a state university for a second study to test the effect of 3 different messages: pay what you can, pay what you think it's worth, and pay what you want, on how much participants would pay for concert tickets. The results illustrate both the heterogeneity of consumer valuations and how sellers can benefit by prompting consumers to consider their own valuations. Okay, oof. So heterogeneity means like the differences of consumer valuations, meaning consumers do different things, right? So depending on what they're offered, I guess, people do different things. And how sellers can benefit by prompting consumers, meaning like, I guess that this one generates the most price. So let's just take a look at the choices. The students tended to value the concert tickets more highly than did the more age-diverse group recruited online, right? So study, right? So, and interview students for a second study. So the online is study 1. This is study 1. And right here. Oof, can I highlight that? See, this is dumb. It's College Board. Make it so I can write on the graph. And second study is this one. There we go. Second study. See, why can't I can't do it. I thought I could. Doesn't work. Anyway, don't waste time playing with this. Okay. I got lost in that highlighting. The students tended to value the concert tickets more highly than did the more age-diverse group recruited online. No. Right? The students, yes, they're higher. They're this one. Second study is the state university. Okay. So yes, that seems true. But when considering what they could afford to pay, the students tended to choose a lower price than did the other group. So what they could afford, pay what you can, the students chose a lower price? It seems hard to me. In all 3 messaging conditions, the group of participants recruited online tended to choose lower prices than did the students, but both groups tended to choose prices closest to the actual cost of the tickets. What's the actual cost? I I don't think they actually even did that. So students tended to value the concert tickets more highly than did the more age-diverse group recruited online. The students tended to value the concert. Okay, yes. But both groups tended to choose a higher price when considering the value of the tickets than when considering what they could afford or wanted to pay. That seems true. Within each group of participants, there was wide variation in the value that individuals assigned to the concert tickets, but the students tended to assign a higher value to the tickets than did the. Okay, I think this is it. I think this is a trap. Because the results illustrate both the heterogeneity of consumer valuations and how sellers can benefit by prompting consumers to consider their own valuations. So the heterogeneity means there's a difference. There was wide variation. Maybe this is the trap. Wide variation. Assign a higher value. How sellers can benefit, right? So let's focus on this part. How sellers can benefit, right? A higher price. So that means that that's about the benefits when considering the value of the tickets. Right? So that suggests this second part here is talking about how the sellers can benefit. Yeah. Prompting the consider. Okay. That's tricky. That's tricky. I might get that wrong. I think that that's it. But look, tight time. This is very different. Hard module, very different from the first module. I did answer everything. So we're just going to let the timer run out before we go to math. But normally, I guess I'd go back to something and check. But I don't really care. So we're going to hope for the best and see if we just got everything right based on my intuitions here. Yeah, this is a good one. I think this is such a good trap because it sounds like something your English teacher would say, but doesn't mean it's right. I mean, it's very silly. It's gooses and, lizards and whatnot. All right, well, we're going to take a break and then go to math, and hopefully I can get the blood flowing because I'm getting a little tired. Okay, so on the real test, use the full break time, get up, walk around, go to the bathroom, whatever you can do, stretch, just get the blood flowing. I just want to get on with it because, why I'm good. But you should take, an opportunity to have a little snack if you brought something, drink some water, go to the bathroom. The break is a really good time to just let your brain rest for a second. Right now, I mean, I'm a pro, but I still feel pretty mentally tired from those two reading sections. So we're going to get into it, but I feel it. So you'll feel it too. So let's resume testing, and this should be a generally easy module. I've got my calculator here. We've got Desmos if we need it up here, and we have our reference chart. So let's just get right into it. A mixture consisting of only vitamin D and calcium has a total of 150 grams. The mass of vitamin D in the mixture is 50 grams, right? So is that just subtraction, right? So the vitamin D and calcium has a total mass of 150. The vitamin D is 50. So what's the calcium? Shouldn't it be 100? Seems really easy. Well, it's the first question in the first module, so it should be easy. What is the value of 6x minus 1? Let's just do a little algebra here. So let's go just right to our scratch paper. We could use Desmos, but why bother? So this is M1. So we've got number 2. So this is 2x plus 3 equals 9 minus 3 minus 3. 2x equals 6. X is 3. 6 times 3 minus 1 is 18 minus 1 is 17. Right? Use the scratch, right? You got it. Might as well use it. Don't do stuff in your head. Each of 157 gemstones can be classified as one of the 3 classifications shown in the frequency table. If one of the gemstones is selected at random, what is it probably selecting a gemstone of color Y? So 3 out of 157. Oop, whoa, careful. 3 out of 157. Yeah, because it's just saying choose from all of them. So no drama here. What is the y-intercept of this? Plug in 0 and you get 81. Most appropriate. Okay. So it is a positive slope. So no, yes. Notice these are fast. First module math, you should really be cruising. How many yards are equivalent to 777 rods? So if 1 rod is 5.5, we just multiply. But honestly, here's a good case where I'm a little nervous. It doesn't take more than a second to set up a ratio and double check, right? So how many yards? X yards is equal to 77 rods. We have 5.5 yards is equal to 1 rod. So cross multiply. X is equal to going to use this calculator. 77 times 5.5 is 423.5. 423.5. Looks good. Line J is the slope of the line. Line K is parallel. So what is the slope? So the same slope. So it is a rise of 1, 2, 3, 4, and a run of 1. So slope of 4. Right? Let's just make sure. Rise of 1, 2, 3, 4. Run of 1. Rise over 1. Rise over run. Okay. Okay. So notice that all of these choices, look at how faint that inequality symbol is. I hate how they make these fractions so tiny. They could easily just make this bigger. Maybe I'm just being old. So we should just look at this like a line. The inequality part doesn't matter because these are all the same. So we have a y-intercept of -6. So this is gone. And, oh, these are gone too. Is it rise over run, 2 over 3? 2 over 3, yeah, looks good. It's greater than because it's shaded up. So yeah, all right, easier than I thought. Circle has a radius of 43 meters. What is the area of the circle? So you should know this because you should be a human in the world. But yeah, they give you the area of a circle. So A equals pi r squared. So let's come over here and just do it. That way we can see it. Radius, so area equals pi r squared. So area equals pi times 43 squared. All right, 43 squared. I don't know that off the top of my head. I bet it's big. 43 squared is 1849. 1849 pi. Seems good. Easy. All right, equation shown gives the estimated amount of diesel in gallons that remains in the gas tank of a truck after being driven X miles. What is the estimated amount of diesel in gallons that remains in the gas tank of the truck when X equals 300? Okay, so just do what it says. Okay. So plug points into equations, right? It doesn't matter that it's a story. Plug points into equations. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my videos on the main strategies for each section. The main strategy for math is if you have points and you have equations, plug them in. Here they give us a point, 300 is x. We have an equation, so we're just plugging it in. So d is equal to 16 minus, so that goes, and that becomes 10, right? 30 divided by 3 is 10, so that is 6, right? Did I do anything wrong? I mean, I could check it. 300 divided by 30 is 10. 16 minus 10 is 6. Okay. And triangle ABCAB is 4,680 millimeters and BC is 4,680 millimeters. Which statement is sufficient to prove that triangle ABC is equilateral? It's literally just a definition of equilateral, right? Equilateral triangles are all 3 sides the same. So it's literally that. Good Lord, these are easy. Guys, you got to be confident with some basic math, and you can do really well on this first section. Okay, function P gives the predicted population of a certain country for the period, whatever, which is the number of years after 1984. According to the model, what is the best interpretation? P of 8 is approximately equal to 32.91. So it's basically just following the instructions in the question. So P of 8 is the t, the t value. So that is 8 years after 1984. So 1984 plus 8 is 1992, right? 1984 plus 8 is 1992. And wait, what is going on? Why did they all say 1984? Oh, well, they don't even make me calculate. I should have just looked at the answer choices, right? In 1984, the predicted population of this country was approximately 8 million. No, because it's not 1984, it's 1992. In 1984, the predicted population of this country was approximately 32.91 million. No, again, 84 is the starting point. 8 years after 1984, the predicted population was 32.91 million. That sounds right. And then this is switching your x and y. So notice this has nothing to do with understanding the equation. It's literally just they tell you what t and 32.91 and I guess p mean, and then we're just applying this to that. So yeah, someone outside is leaf blowing. That's very annoying. What is the value of cosine of A in the triangle shown? Okay, so cosine, so This I always like to do because I don't want to mess it up. So, ka, toa, right? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So A, the adjacent is 41, and the hypotenuse is 42. So cosine of A is 41 over 42. So no work necessary to get that other side. Yeah. Okay. A line segment has a length of 115 centimeters, is divided into 3 parts. One part is 47 centimeters long. The other 2 parts have lengths that are equal to each other. What is the length of one of those other 2 parts? Okay, let's just draw what this says. Oh my gosh, the leaf blower is extremely loud. And this is a reminder that when you take your SAT, it's not necessarily going to be completely quiet. So you gotta, be flexible. And if you have trouble with any sort of distraction, then I recommend going to a library, going to a coffee shop, going to a place where there's going to be people making noise while you do your practice tests. So that way you can, simulate being distracted, especially on the digital SAT where you're going to have people finishing at different times, asking questions, having trouble with their chargers and everything. You gotta be prepared for things going around you. So if you are the kind of person who needs complete silence, you're in some trouble. It's not gonna happen. Okay. Did I do this right? I'm talking while I'm writing. Right, so let's cut out the 47, right? So this part here would be 115 minus 47, 68. So if we divided that by 2, we would get 34, right? Divided by 2, 34. And here's what we're going to do to check that right away is if each of these parts here are 34, let's add them all up. 34 plus 47, 115. Perfect. The list gives the mass in grams of 5 alpine marmots. Okay, what is the mean mass? So sum over total. So we're going to take all these numbers and divide them by 5. I'm not going to use scratch paper here. 4010 plus 4010 plus 3030 plus 4050 plus 3050 divided by 5. 3630. 3630. And guess what? We're going to do it again because it's possible, especially with this calculator, sometimes the buttons don't register. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it backwards. 3050 plus 4050 plus 3030 plus 4010 plus 4010 divided by 5. 3630. Boom. And the reason to do that is I've got so much time. The main objective for this first math module is don't get anything wrong. If you're looking for a top score, you're going to have plenty of time to check things over. So you want to make sure you're right in this module. If you struggle with math, then yeah, you might get some things wrong that are hard, but you don't want to get something wrong that you know what you're doing. So this is a good example of it took me another 10 seconds, just type it in again. Might as well. Okay. How many distinct real solutions does this equation have? I'm going to go to Desmos for the first time. Let's just do it. So I'm going to type this, and I'm going to type it x squared minus 12x plus 27. And I am not going to put the equal 0, because if I do, it's going to turn it into lines. I can see that I do have 2 solutions, but I prefer to think of solutions as x-intercepts. And I can see I've got 1 and 2, and so there you go. No work necessary, just straight up proof. For the linear function g, the graph of y equals g of x in the xy plane has a slope of 2 and passes through the point 114, which equation defines g. So let's plug points into equations. Let's plug in this 114. Oh, you can't highlight in math. 114. So, all right, this would not work. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 2 is 4. This would be 14, and this would be 16. And does it have a slope of 2? Yes, it does. Good. An object has a mass of 168 grams and a volume of 24 cubic centimeters. What is the density? Okay, here's a great example. I'm so glad this question came up because I saw this on a YouTube comment recently, or someone made a TikTok or something. People are oh, you got to memorize the formula for density. No, you don't. They tell it to you because you just have to pay attention to the units, right? They tell us that density is grams per cubic centimeter. Right? The formula is in the units, right? So now just plug it in, right? An object with a mass of 168 grams, right? Grams, has a volume of 24 cubic centimeters, right? So you're just putting things in. So what is the density? Yeah, just do that, right? Like now I go for the calculator. 168 divided by 24 is 7, right? So the same idea happens with things like speed, right? What is the speed formula? Well, speed is always in like something like miles per hour, feet per second, right? It's telling you to create that fraction. So the idea that you need to memorize this formula, you're just, no, like it helps obviously, but like it is given to you. So it's no excuse, like just follow the units. There's gonna be lots of different questions with all sorts of weird units. You don't need to memorize every formula in physics that deals with units. Just understand how to read the word per and you should be fine. This bothers me. People are like, you gotta memorize all these formulas. No, you don't. It's in the question. See, you can see I'm all riled up. Okay, a company has a newsletter. In January 2018, there were 1,300 customers subscribed to the newsletter. For the next 24 months after January 2018, the total number of customers subscribed to the newsletter each month was 7% greater than the total number subscribed the previous month, which equation gives the total number of customers subscribed to the company's newsletter M months after this. Okay, so if you want, you can arithmetize here. You can say, all right, what happens after 1 month, right? Because at 0 months, we can see that all of these choices would give us the right number because if you plug in 0 for M, they just basically all these parts wipe out. So that doesn't help. Now, you kind of intuitively should know what to do if you said, all right, well, after a 7% increase, we can multiply 1,300 and by 7% and increase it. But if you just know the formula, you know it's this one, right? Because this is the formula that I call the open formula, which I guarantee we're going to use again on the hard module, right? So open is O, 1 plus or minus P to the, in this case, T equals N. So O is the original number, so that's 1,300. They tell us it's an increase of 7%, so write that as a decimal. In this case, our T is our M, and our new value is the total, number of customers. So it's kind of rearranged, but we can rearrange it back. So 1,300, and then add these up, 1.07 to the M, right? So that's just me reading the formula that I've memorized. So that's the best way to handle this. Wow, I got a lot of time. The given equation relates the value of x and its corresponding values of p of x for the function p. What is the minimum value of the function p? Okay, so can we just put this in Desmos? Let's see. P of x equals or plus 57 equals x squared. Now why doesn't it like p as a thing? What if we did f? Interesting. So here's what they did here. That's very interesting. I would not have expected that, right? So what is it saying? Now, this is odd. This is very odd. Normally this would not, I don't think, bother me or bother Desmos. But, interesting. So I know what I have to do. I just have to move this over. So let's just do P of x equals x squared minus 57. Right, so I just moved the 57 over. I am surprised that Desmos is not able to handle this. And I wonder if the SAT deliberately worded this question this way, knowing that Desmos wouldn't be able to do it. So forcing us to make this change. It's very interesting. Now from here, it's easy, right? Just gonna do this and 57. And I kind of knew it was gonna be that. What is the minimum value? So negative 57, because that's the vertex. But I'm very interested in this. I wonder, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's up here. I don't even know why would someone get 3249? Where did that even come from? Is that 57 squared? You put 57 in as x squared? For the function, what is the minimum value of the function p? Right? Am I missing something here? Right? So in order for something to be a function, we kind of want the f of x on the other side. I'm just surprised that it got all messed up with this. I'm going to bookmark this just to come back and play with Desmos if I got more time, which I know I will have, but this is interesting. Okay. Maybe for you guys it's not interesting, but for someone who's done thousands of these questions, that was weird. The expression 0.35x represents the result of decreasing a positive quantity x by what percent? Okay. classic percent trap, right? So just follow the instructions. This is where that open formula comes in. 21. I mean, I know the answer already, but I'm going to put it in. So anytime we decrease by a percentage, we are going to use this open formula, 1 plus or minus p equals n. And now there's no exponent because we're only doing it once, right? So let's look at what these things mean. So the expression 0.35x represents the result. So that's here, right? Of decreasing a positive quantity x, so that's the starting value, we're decreasing it by some percent. So right away, there's a couple things I could do. One thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, let's make it x 100 to make my life easier, right? So 100 times 1 minus p equals 0.35x, so that's 35, right? Now, again, I know the answer, but I'm gonna divide by 100. I'm going to get 1 minus p is equal to 0.35. I'm going to subtract the 1, and we get negative p is equal to negative 0.65, right? And so that means p is 0.65, which is 65%. So D is the answer. But you can see what they did, right? There's a very tempting place where you just pick B here. But we should know, even in the first module, we are in the second to last question. It's going to be hard in some way, right? It's going to have some sort of trick or trap, right? The most obvious answer is not necessarily going to be right. So what this formula lets me do, and then what arithmetizing lets me do, is see this formula in action to make sure I don't make a mistake. Again, I knew it was going to be D because I kind of understand how percentages work and what this is doing, but just by showing the work, I get a better sense of it. I have proof. I have visual proof that I'm right. More percentages. A sample of a certain alloy has a total mass of 50 grams and is 50% silicon by mass. The sample was created by combining two pieces of different alloys. The first piece was 30% silicon by mass, and the second piece was 80% silicon by mass. What was the mass in grams of the silicon in the second piece? Ugh. Okay. I don't even want to do this. Okay. 50 grams, and it's 50% silicon by mass. So a sample of a certain alloy has a total mass of 50 grams and is 50% silicon. So the 50 gram piece is 25 grams of silicon. The sample was created by combining two pieces of different alloys. The first piece was 30% silicon by mass, and the second piece was 80%. Combining two pieces of different alloys. What was the mass in grams of the silicon in the second piece? What was this mass in grams of the silicon in the second piece? So, I guess I could make an equation. I'm just wondering if I can guess and check here. So obviously it's not D because that's already more silicon than we need, right? So we have 25 grams of silicon. Does it, two pieces of different alloys, does it have to be the same amount? Sample was created by combining two pieces of different alloys, right? So does it need to be that it's like 25 grams of each alloy? I don't know. Let's see. So 80% silicon by mass. What if I just like assumed choice B is right? So that's 16 grams of silicon, which is 80% of that, right? So let's just do our open formula, right? So the original value is going to be something, and then 80% of that would be 16. So we divide, and we get that original second piece is 16 divided by 0.8, which is 20. So this is the second piece is total of 20 grams, meaning the first piece has to be a total of 30 grams in order to get to the 50, right? So that means 30 grams times 30% silicon, so 0.3 is equal to some new value. So 30 times 0.3 is 9. So the 9 plus the 16 has to get me to 25. And I think it does. Seems like proof. Is there any other? I mean, maybe I'll try C. Like, I get where A comes from. I know what they're doing there, right? Because if I am right, that 16 is the answer. And there is probably some equation I could have made. And then I would have had to compare my X's and Y's. So maybe that's what they want, is they want me to confuse it. Well, why don't I see if I can make the equation, right? So we have 50% of 50. So that's our silicon. So that's our 25 of silicon, right? So 25 grams is equal to 30% of X plus 80% of Y. Ooh, yeah, we'll just leave it like that, right? So this is our first, and this is our second alloy. So, okay, and then there must be another equation, right? So then X plus Y has to be 50 grams because that's the total weight of each one. So now, okay, that's what they wanted me to do. I understand this now. Okay, I still like to guess and check, but let's make the equation. Let's test it out. So X plus Y equals 50, and 0.3X plus 0.8Y is equal to 25, 50% of 50. Let's just shorten it. And there we go. Intersection is 30-20, right? So now we got to be careful. I see the other trap, right? That means that there's 30 of the first and 20 of the second. But we want the amount of silicon in the second piece. So we need to take 80% of 20. So 0.8 times 20 is my 16. Yeah. Good question. Good question. Hard. And this is why, you really want to be confident in everything else. Is look, I had tons of time to tinker with this weird one. I'm confident in the answer, but I didn't have to rush. I didn't have to feel flustered by it. I have plenty of time, and I could go back and check things. Well, let's go back to 20 and just kind of think about this a little bit. But yeah, I don't even know what else I would do. This is so weird that this would happen. Because I guess I know why. Now I understand why it didn't like me putting in P of X. P of X equals or plus 57 equals X squared. I get why it doesn't like that. I can do stuff like this. You can add numbers to like a function and use your P of X or F of X, but you first got to define it in function terms, meaning it has to be P of X by itself. So in order to do that here, we do have to make a change and subtract the 57. But I don't know, that feels like a deliberate move by the SAT to mess with us, to make it so that Desmos is a little less useful. But notice all you got to do is minus that 57, and we're good to go. P of X equals X squared minus 57. And now it graphs it, no problem. I didn't make this go away. This is so annoying. There we go. So there it is. And guess what? If I get rid of the green, oh, I thought the blue would show up. Where is the blue? Because now, what is it even doing? Yeah, if anyone's got some thoughts on this, I'm curious. What is happening with this? Because now it says it's graphing it, but I don't see it. Right? I don't see a blue line anywhere. Am I crazy? I got nothing. So I don't know. I don't know what's up. This makes sense to me of just graphing it and seeing that. Ooh. And seeing it. There we go. Okay. I'm bored. Let's move on to the hard module. So close this, and I'll cut the video here, and then I'll hit the button to go to the review and to the next, so I can reset. All right, remember, as soon as you hit next to go to the next section, it's going to start. So you got no time except this little loading page. So you got to make sure you are mentally prepared to get right into the hard module here. I know I got in the hard module because I did very well in the first one, but let's take a look here. It should still be easy to start things off. The parabola shown intersects the y-axis at the point xy. What is the value of y? It is 7. So just reading a graph. The The function here is defined with value of g of -7. So that's going to be, let's just write it down. That is going to be 4 times -7 minus 6. That's -28 minus 6. I'm a little nervous about the negative. So -28 minus 6 is -34. -34, is that a choice? Yes, it is. Good. A geologist needs to collect at least 67 samples of lava from a volcano. If the geologist has already collected 63 samples from the volcano, what is the minimum number of additional samples the geologist needs to collect? Is it just 4? Wait a minute. A geologist needs to collect at least 67 samples. So the minimum is 67. If the geologist has already collected 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. What is the minimum number of additional samples? What other possible interpretation? If 5 was an answer, that would make sense to me, because then I'd be like, oh, some people are confused by how it at least works. Good Lord, I don't even know what that's all about. The perimeter of triangle ABC is 17 inches. The length of AB is 4 inches, and the length of AC is 7. What is the length? So it's just subtraction. So 17 minus 4 minus 7 is 6. Good. For the given linear function g, which table shows 3 values of x and their corresponding values of g of x? Okay, so let's just do the 0, right? So it's not 11, it's going to be 4. It's not 0, and it's not 0. So there you go. And 115 makes sense. So -11 plus 4 is -7. Yeah, all good. The function f is defined by this. What is the value of f of 21? So here's a good example where, like, if you don't know how this -1 works, just let Desmos do it, right? So f of x equals 4x to the -1, right? So we get a graph, and then just do f of 21. And it's some decimal, fine, but look, we can hit this button and it'll convert it. So 4 over 21, right? So that's really easy. And I can't imagine anything going wrong other than like mistyping this, right? So why is it that? Well, this would be 1 over 21. And so it's really easy. Like I could have gotten this without typing in a Desmos, but I know a lot of you are going to be freaked out by that -1. Just let the calculator do it. No reason to get a question wrong here. Just take the extra 10 seconds to type it. Okay. The graph gives the estimated population Y in thousands of a town X years since 2003, where this, okay, which of the following best describes the increase in the estimated population from 0 to 1? Okay. The estimated population X equals 1 is 0.5 times? No, because it's an increase. Right, so here's a good example of like, they're trying to mess me up with the wording. Let's just do it, right? So the population at X equals 0 is 6,000, and the population at X equals 1 is 9,000. I don't think the thousands are going to matter. So choice A is saying that this is 0.5 this. Well, calculator, right? Just do 0.5 times 6,000 and you get 3,000, right? So that's the increase, but that's not how the question is phrased, right? It's saying that it's 9,000, right? The population X equals 1 is 0.5 times 6,000, but it's not. So it's going to be B, right? Because I could do 6,000 times 1.5 is 9,000. But I get what they're doing here. And it's not going to be these two because I've already proven it right. But yeah, that's sneaky. It's not hard, right? It's still good for number 7 to be kind of easy, but I think people are going to pick A here. All right, let's just move on. The scatter plot shows the relationship between the two variables. A line of best fit is also shown. For how many of the 11 data points does the line of best fit predict a greater y value than the actual y value? Meaning that the line is above the dot. And you literally, like, if that bothers you, just try to rephrase the sentence, right? So they say that how many does the line predict a greater value, than the value predict the actual. So the actual is the dots. So for how many is the line greater than the dot? Well, the line is above the dot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. The solution to the given system of equations x, y, what is the value of x? Okay, calculator, there's no reason anymore on the SAT to do any any systems of equations, just type it in. Y equals 1/3 x minus 14. Y equals negative x plus 18. Is that right? Yes, just double check them. Find the point. 24, negative 6. What do they want? They want the value of x, so 24. Cool. 24. All right. If a linear function gives the company's profit in dollars for selling X items, the company's profit is 220 when it sells 8 items, and its profit is 320 when it sells 10, which defines F. So this is plug points into equations, right? We're going to plug in 8 and see if we get 220. Let's plug in the 10 first, because that's going to be easier for me to do mentally. So 10 is X, and we're going to get 320. So choice A is going to be 1,500 minus 320. 1,500 minus 320 is no way. That's right. So no. This would be 320. So this could work. 500. Oh, so this is going to be 500 minus 100 is 400. So no. And this is 500. 500 minus 180, which is 320. So these both could work. That's not surprising. Now just go to the other one, right? So 220 when it sells 8 items. So 32 times 8 is 256. That doesn't work. So 50 times 8 is 400, right? Minus 180 is 220. So there's no slope, there's no logic to this other than plug points into equations, right? Anytime you see equations in the choices, you should think, it'd be great if I had points to plug in and look for them. They're probably somewhere in the story. In the given equation, A is a constant. If the equation has infinitely many solutions, what is the value of A? So the way I think of this is it's 2 lines because there's no x squared anywhere. So we're going to think of it as lines. So one of them is 4x plus 12, and we're thinking they have infinitely many solutions. The two have to be the same. Same line. Same line. So A times x plus 3 over 2, we have to make that match up. So let's distribute the A. So that's AX AX plus 3A, and then these are both over 2, right? So there's a couple places we can go here, right? We need this to line up with this, and that would happen if A is equal to 8, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. And if we put 8 here, this would be 24 over 2, which is 12. So that checks out as well. So A is 8. And I guess we could have just guessed and checked there, but sometimes we might not have that option. In March, the price of a collectible card was $15.50. In April, the price of the collectible card was $17.36. The price of the collectible card in April was P% of the price of the collectible. Okay, so this is just open formula again, but this time because they use the word of, we're just using a regular old open formula. This is where it gets its name. It looks like the word open. So in April was P% of the price in March, meaning March is the original. We don't know the value of P, and we're looking for the new value, which is April, right? The of is telling us to go to March as the original. So March is 1550, P is unknown, and April is 1736. So we're going to divide and divide. We're going to get P is equal to 1736 divided by 1550, 112. Okay. So what's the answer? The answer is 112, because then this P is written as a decimal, but the way that the P in the equation works is we need it to be as a percent. So it's 112%. So what they're going to do here is they're going to hope we pick A, because it is a 12% increase, but that's not how the question is phrased. It's not asking for the increase. It's asking for the percentage. So that's the right formula. The way I knew it was the word of. All right. Yeah, solution. Cool. Calculator. See, I hate that there's no way to do this. That's not, oh, there we go. Okay. X squared plus y plus 10 equals 10. 8x plus 16 minus y equals 0. All right, what do we want? Solution? It's somewhere here. Oh, there it is, right? It's going to pop up. -4, -16. What is the value of x? -4. Cool. No issue. Did I type them right? X squared plus y plus 10 equals 10. 8x plus 16 minus y is 0. Good. Okay. Plenty of time. The given equation relates the positive numbers a, b, and x. Which equation correctly expresses? Okay. What do we want? We saw solve for a. This is pretty easy algebra, right? You would just divide by b plus 9 and by 8. So it should be that. We could do this with some arithmetizing. I'll come back and do it with that, but for now, let's move on. Divide by 8. Divide by b plus 9. Yeah. All right. Let's see if Desmos can handle this. I think it's just multiplication, right? So I think basically what they're doing is telling us to FOIL this, which we could do. I don't love it. You know what? No, let's arithmetize. Let's deal with this in a much easier way. So let's do 15 and let's do x equals 0, meaning that we want g of 0, and that should just be times h of 0, right? So g of 0 is 7/6, and h of 0 is -5. So that is -35/6. Cool. Let's see which choice gives us that. Well, A would give us that, so that works. B would give us that. C would give us that. D would give us that. Should have thought that through. Okay, no big deal. X equals 1. So G of 1, and yeah, this is maybe tedious. Screw it. Let's go to Desmos. All right. G of x is equal to 3/5 x plus 7/6. 3/6 plus 7/6. H of x equals 6x minus 5. Okay, so we have that, but I don't care about these themselves. Let's turn them off. And we want g of x times h of x. And we get a new thing, right? So there it is. So I want to know which of these looks like that. So I don't think it's going to be choice A, but let's do it anyway. 18x squared divided by 5 minus 35/6. Different, so that doesn't work. B is 18x squared over 5, let's add in, plus 27x divided by 11. Still different, so that's no good. This part is changing this for just a 4x. Ooh, that looks good. Yeah, that looks the same, so that's probably it. But let's do D just to be sure. So this is, see, I almost made a mistake. Look at that. Okay, right, so this is D. This is the plus 4x. It's minus 4x in choice C. Gotta be careful, and that's different. So there you go. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, right? So just I don't want to FOIL with all these stupid fractions. So 18x squared plus 4x minus 35/6, that is choice D, and that matches with what I did on the top. So everything looks good. So yeah, they're the same. There we go, right? If they're equivalent, then they should produce the same graph. Good, I like that. This was a good idea, but too messy with the fractions. Product of two positive integers is 462. If the first integer is 5 greater than twice the second, what is the smaller of the two integers? I can make an equation here that they're integers, so I don't know. Let's just do two positive. The first is 20 and 25, right? Let's do a little guess and check. 20 times 25 is 500. So let's do 18 and 23. So 18 times 23 is 414. So we're getting somewhere. How about 19 plus 5 is 24. 19 times 24 is 456. What am I doing wrong? 5 greater than twice the second. Stupid. Read, Mike, read. All right. Okay, product of first integer is 5 greater than twice the second. So let's just do 10 and 25. So that's 250. So how about 15 and twice the second is, well, I guess I could do it backwards, right? So this would be 15 and then 5 greater than twice the second. So twice the second is 30, so this is 35. So 35 times 15 is 525. So how about we lower this to 12? So 5 greater than twice the second is 24 plus 5 is 29. So 29 times 12 is 348. Let's do 13. Let's do 14. 14, so 28 plus 5 is 33. 33 times 14 is 462. Looks good. What is the smaller? 14. I'll come back and do this one with algebra, but I don't know. To me, this is easier. I can just follow the instruction more easily with numbers. We still got 20 minutes. We're doing good. All right. And that's by playing when the graph of the function f shifted up 6 units, resulting graph is defined the function g. The graph of y g crosses at 4b, where b is a constant, what is value b? Okay, let's just calculator this. Okay. All right. So f of x equals x minus 1, x plus 3, x minus 2. Okay. And shifted up 6 units. So you do need to know how that works. So that just means that g of x is going to be f of x, and we add a little plus 6 on the outside. And you can kind of see it, right? It's the same thing. So we have our y-intercept at 0, 6. Now we have a y-intercept at 0, 12, right? So it shifted up 6 units. We can look at the maximums, right? This maximum was 13.128. So 6 greater than that would be 19.128. So there it is. So that all looks good. And it crosses the point 4b. So let's just do x equals 4. Let's turn off the original. And, it's all the way up here. 448. So it should be 48. Right, so I made x a vertical line, and 48 is the y. So b is a constant. What is the value of b? So yeah, I don't see any issue here. There's other ways we could do it. I mean, again, if I have time, I'll come back and just do this the other way. But I like that way. Okay, objects R and S each travel at a constant speed. The speed of object R is half the speed of object S. Object R travels a distance of 4x inches in y seconds, which expression represents the time in seconds it takes object S to travel a distance of 24x inches. Okay, so this is very confusing. Why don't we just say, okay, let's arithmetize. Arithmetize means make up some numbers. So how about x is 1, so it travels 4 inches. This is R. So, and y is 4, right? So R then goes 4 inches in 4 seconds. Okay, meaning it goes 1 inch per second. So that's object R. The speed is half the speed of object S, meaning object S will go 2 inches in a second. Okay, which expression represents the time in seconds it takes object S to travel a distance of 24 inches. So if S goes 2 inches in 1 second, and it's going to go 24 inches, right, because X is 1, then how many seconds is that? So let's go A seconds, whatever. So that would be what? 2A equals 24, so A is 12, right? Okay. So that looks like choice A, but we got to be careful, right? Because remember, y was 4, right? So y is equal to 4. So choice A would be 48. It's B, that's 12. There's probably a better way to do that. I like that way. That made me think about it more easily, but still a lot of places to mess up. Let's move on. If k minus x is a factor of this expression where n and k are constants and k is greater than 0, what is the value of n? Okay. Let's just write it out. 19. So negative x squared plus 1/29th nk squared. So k minus x is a factor. So let's move this over. So 1/29th nkx minus x squared. So this feels like difference of two squares. Difference of two squares. So we take the square root of each, right? So we have one of the things we want is k minus x, meaning this would be an x. And if it was difference of two squares, it'd be k plus x. In order to that to be the case, this whole thing needs to go away. And that would mean that n is 29. Yes? Right, so let's just plug it in. Right, so then this is negative x squared plus 1/29 of 29k squared. I mean, I guess I could make k is up greater than 0. Why don't we just make k 1? Just get rid of it, right? So then this becomes, this goes away. So this is negative x squared plus 1. So that would be 1, or that's 1 minus x squared. So that's 1 plus x, 1 minus x. So if k were 1, then 1 minus x is a factor. So this seems to work out. I don't know. This seems easier than it looks. Just move on. Okay, how are we doing? 13 minutes, 3 questions. Okay. Function f is defined by the given equation. If h of x equals x minus 4, which is found. Okay, this is just, don't mess with it. Just do Desmos. Okay. So let's see it happen. F of x equals 272 to the x. Cool. We get this thing. Then h of x is equal to f of x minus 4. We see it shift. I don't care about this. We want to know which defines h. So let's just try them all out. Which one lines up? H, or we don't need the h of x. Let's just do 17 times 2 to the x. That looks pretty good, right? It's the same. That's probably it. Let's try the others. This would be 68. Nope, that's different. This would be 272, 16, so that's different. And this would be 272, 8. That's different. Done. Nice. That's why you skip around when you get to hard stuff. Some stuff's easier if you just put it in Desmos. In convex pentagon, ABCDE, segment AB is parallel to segment DE. The measure of angle B is 139 degrees, and the measure of angle D is 174 degrees. What is the measure in degrees of angle C? I've never heard in my life of a convex pentagon. So this seems fun. So AB is parallel to DE. So AB, and can I just put it right below it? Maybe we do it like this, DE. Or this would be E, this would be D. Okay. And that allows me to have connection there, and then C can just kind of be out here. Though I think convex means, yeah, it pops out. Who cares? It's not trying to scale. Segment AB is parallel. Okay. The measure of angle B is 139 degrees. So 139. And the measure of angle D is 174. Okay. What is the measure of angle C? Okay. So yeah, I get what they're doing here. If these are parallel, then these angles here, A and E, have to add up to 180. Because, in fact, let me draw this differently. Where's my eraser? Tools, eraser. Let's draw E. So it's a little further out. That way, it's still parallel, but now it's more clear to see, right? If I had another kind of like the Z shape, right? The alternate interior angles, then this angle here and this angle here would be the same. But the bigger issue is these two are going to be 180. So I don't really care what each is individually. They're 180 together. That's the parallel line thing. Now I need to know how many degrees are in a pentagon, right? So this is actually the first time I can think of on this new SAT where I need to use this equation, 180 n minus 2, which tells you the number of the total number of degrees of the interior angles of any shape depending on n, which is the number of sides. So 180 times 5 minus 2, so 180 times 3 is 540? 540, okay. Now we have 180, 139, 174. Let's subtract all of those out. So 540 minus 180 minus 139 minus 174 leaves me with 47 for this. Ooh, tough question. Tough question. Most people are going to have trouble with that. I'm confident in my answer, right? 180. I did what I was told. 47 is left. Right? I mean, I guess I could add them back up and make sure I get to 540. 147 plus 139 plus 174 plus 180, 540. Yeah, that's tough. That's going to bother a lot of people. All right, in the given equation, k is a constant. The equation has exactly one real solution. What is the minimum possible value of 4k? Okay. Should we graph it? Let's see, I don't know. Square root of k minus x equals 58 minus x. So it doesn't love that because there's no k, but let's just throw up a little k equals 1 and see what happens. Now we get a slider. K is a constant and has one real solution. So I don't see anything here, right? I would want to see a line. Am I going to see any lines pop? No. Okay. What do I want to do with this? I mean, I could just play with this forever. The minimum possible value of 4k, right? So I have no solutions. So this, let's just make it 100. I still have, oh, there's something. Oh, and it pops away there. So 58, it looks like we have a solution. 57 or 55, we don't. 56, 57, okay. So my gut says 58 times 4 is the answer. So 4k is 232. I'd love a better way to prove that because that feels kind of rough. So why would that have one real solution? Okay. The square root. Well, I guess I could square that and try to use the discriminant maybe if I get a quadratic. That seems really messy. There might be some reason that it has to be 232. It has k has to be 58, right? Well, let's think about it. Okay, so if k is 58, then we have the square root of 58 minus x is equal to 58 minus x. So if x were 58, then you'd have square root of 0 equals 0. I don't know. I wish there was a better way. I mean, I'm confident enough in this answer that I would do it if I had no time. I've got 5 minutes, so I don't know. Let's try some algebra. There's probably some conceptual way of doing this that it's just not coming to me in the moment. But that is why I don't like conceptual thinking, is it's kind of dependent on whether or not you have like a light bulb moment, right? If the light bulb never goes off, what are you going to do, right? You're kind of screwed. So 58 squared. 58 squared is 3,364. This is minus 58 times 2 is 116. 116x plus x squared, right? 58 minus 58x minus 58. Okay, so now let's add x to both sides, subtract k, And let's start cleaning this up. 0 is equal to x squared minus 115x plus 3364 minus k. So if I'm thinking about the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, that's got to equal 0 because it's one solution, exactly one solution. So b squared would be 115 squared minus 4 times a is 1 and c is 3364 minus k equals 0. I kind of see where the 4k might be coming from now that I look at this. So 115 squared is 13225 minus distribute. So 4 times 3364 is 13456 plus 4k equals 0. Combine like terms. 13225 minus 13456 is negative 231. Ooh, interesting. Plus 4k equals 0. So 4k is equal to 231. Not 232. Why? Why? Did I do something wrong here? Right? 231. Uh-oh. Okay. What is the minimum possible value of 4k? Okay, I know how to solve this, right? Let's check Desmos again, right? Let's do, if 4k is 231, then k would be whatever 231 divided by 4 is. So 231 divided by 4, 231 divided by 4 would be 57.75. So go back to Desmos, and the slider doesn't let me do it, but, and maybe if I zoom in, are there two solutions here? Oh, wait, what? Right, okay, well, let's just try this. 57.75, 57.75. I don't see a solution. What do I do? 2 minutes. Ooh, this is rough. Something's off here. In the given equation, k is a constant. The equation has exactly one real solution. What is the minimum possible value of 4k? Do I trust the algebra or do I trust Desmos? The minimum possible value of 4k. Okay. Did I do anything wrong in my algebra? Right, so x squared, 58 squared, right? 58 squared is 3364. 58 times 2 is 116. So we added the x, right? Because it's squared both sides. There might be something with a negative that I'm not understanding here. So plus x gets me negative 115 x, right? So negative 116 plus 1, negative 115, minus the k. So 3364 minus k. We plug that in, we get 115 squared. 115 squared is 13225. We have 3364 times 4, negative b plus minus square. Okay, so 13456 plus 4k because it's multiplied. So then we did 13225 minus 13456 is 231. We added it, 4k, so 4k equals 231. What is the minimum possible value of 4k? Why is it minimum possible? I'm gonna get this wrong. What do I do? 231 or 232? I don't see a solution in 57.75. I don't see a solution. Stick with 232. Trust the calculator. Let's see if that works. Oh man, tough. See, even a PSAT, you're gonna have like one question that's kind of tricky, and this is why it's hard to get a perfect score. Is something's gonna come up, and yeah, this one we'll see. We're gonna get through the score in a second. It's gonna do this. It's gonna save it, and I'll stop here, and then it'll give me the score, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Wow, that annoys me. I might lose it on the PSAT because of that one question. All right, so good news and bad news. The good news is I got a perfect score on this PSAT. Remember that PSATs are out of 760 per subject, not 800. Why do they do that? I don't really have a good answer, but that's just the way it goes. You can kind of see that on this score report, 760 in each subject, so that's a 1520 total. The bad news is I still got something wrong, right? I got everything right in reading, everything right in math, except one question. Guess what that question was? It was this one, right? So this one that I struggled with at the end. So everything else correct. This is the score report that they show you on the College Board website. But you can go through every question, whatever. But here we get the problem, right? I had two answers for this question. This was the last one I did. 232 was what I put, but I did find algebraically that 231 should be the answer. And maybe foolishly, I trusted the calculator instead of the algebra. But I'm curious why. I'll talk more about it. But here is the explanation that the College Board gives. And that just is a reminder that the College Board explanations, the Khan Academy explanations, are usually very technical, very time-consuming, hard to understand. As soon as possible, I will have an individual video for every single one of the questions on this PSAT, including the easy modules. So don't worry about it if you didn't understand what I was doing as you watch this video. Just be patient, and soon I will have playlists that let you go through every single question in much more detail, and probably with better explanations than the ones that I even did, or better solutions than the ones I did in this video, because I was just thinking on my feet. If I think about a question more, I might come up with something more clever. So for now, you've got this, you've got the video I've already made, watching me go through those questions. But this is a little crazy. What they end up doing is basically what I did. They're going to go to the discriminant. From there, I don't really know why they're doing all these extra steps. Basically, you should just trust the discriminant at that point. Maybe this is just their way of proving why that's right. But I am still curious, because if I go to Desmos and I put in what I had, right? I have my equation, radical k minus x. It's the same as this equation here. I do what I did on the test, right? I did my slider. Now, 57.75 should have a solution, but I don't see a line anywhere, right? So I don't see anything. However, if I go to 58, like I kind of found, I do see one, right? And I only see one. So in my mind, that's proof that there's one solution when k is 58, and that would mean that 4k is 232. I don't see another line, so it's not like there's two solutions here. But I guess what they wanted in the question was the minimum value of k, and technically, yes, 57.75 is smaller than 58. But where's my solution? I don't see it. However, I could take another tactic here. When we graph this thing in one line, what we're basically saying is give me the value of x. And what Desmos normally does is it plots that value of x, the solution, as a vertical line. So that's kind of why it looked that way for when k was 58. But if I separate the two and split the equation across the equals and graph them as two things, I kind of get the same basic normally I would get the same basic answer, and I would be, instead of looking at a vertical line, I'd be looking for a point of intersection. Here, I see it. I see the point of intersection. And guess what? It's at 57.5. So there is one solution here, right? I can see that they only intersect once. So why doesn't this produce that same line? There should be a vertical line right here at 57.5 in red, but it's not there. I don't know why. I don't know why Desmos is incapable of showing me that solution. Please, if you can figure that out, comment. I am curious why Desmos broke down here, because this is the first time I've seen this kind of problem happen. I do wonder if the SAT deliberately chose this question knowing that Desmos would not be able to solve it, because that's sneaky if they're doing that. It's just, it goes to show they're starting to wise up to how powerful Desmos is. But I wouldn't let this one question throw you off, right? The moral of the story is, how many times on this test, this PSAT, did I use the Desmos calculator to do virtually no work at all and get the right answer? So it is a very, very helpful tool in most cases. And the few times where it's not working, you might need to go back to some traditional algebra like I did here. And yeah, the algebra worked. It's complicated, but it did work. It did get me the answer of 231 that I was supposed to get. I should have trusted it, but yeah, lesson learned the hard way, right? Is that sometimes Desmos breaks down, but I don't I don't love that. That scares me. So please, if you have any theories as to why that is the case, why Desmos works that way or doesn't work the way I thought it would, please let me know. But there you go. That's the one I got wrong. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions about why I paced things the way I did or why I did certain moves and certain questions, feel free to put that in the comments. But remember, my channel has so many resources that will start to fill in those gaps. So you might also just go directly to the 10 episode strategy series that I have on the beginning part of the homepage of my channel. Whether you're studying for the PSAT, the SAT, that strategy series is a great way to just kind of get the basics of how this test works and the different moves that you can make to make a lot of these questions a lot easier. So including some really cool things that Desmos does. So definitely, if anything about what I did confuse you, that's a good place to start. And then as you start reviewing practice tests, remember, I do have individual playlists that go into each and every question as a separate video so you can get much more detail than I gave here. This was me just seeing these questions for the first time and having some fun with it. So hopefully it was, I don't know if it would be fun for you, but it was fun for me. So I hope it was a good experience and you learned something about how I think about the test. Please like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. It really helps me out. If this helped you, it's a great way to return the favor. Once again, I am Mike Settele, the founder of Settele Tutoring. Check out my channel for tons of free SAT resources because when it comes to your score, don't settle for less, Settele for more. Thanks for watching.